Okay, we have here Fichet MPX. There's the key. Gonna start off with this wire for tension. Gonna slide it right in there above lever 2. And gonna start picking. I'm gonna click on 5 and then 4, back on 5. 6 is binding. 3 is binding, kind of. No, not really. 6 is binding again. Maybe now 3. There we go. There's 3. How about 7? Didn't sound too good. Didn't sound very convincing. That did though. Let's click on 7. Now another click on 6. 5. Okay. Well, 1 certainly isn't binding yet. Let me work the interactive lever. That was a click, I think. Let's see what happened there. I mean, that might be good enough. Let me just check 7 again. Yeah, that might be good enough to switch up tension. I want to be careful not to push this one in too far. That might be good enough, just like that. Do want to be able to apply quite a bit of tension there. Alright, and now here's where things get tricky. 6 is known to be a very problematic lever in this lock. Alright, 1's starting to bind. I think 6 is in good enough place for me to do 2. See if I can get on 2. Okay, so click on 2. Good. Not bad. Alright, 5 is all stuck, but I moved it past. 3. Yeah, I'll click on 3. See how 1's doing. 1 is binding a little bit better, but still not staying in there. Okay, back on 6. 1's binding a little bit more now. Okay, so I can click on 1. Back on 6. So click on 2. 3, 4, and 5 seem fine. Incredibly, 6 is in a good place. I can't really seem to find a binder. So I'm guessing the interactive might not be fully set. But it is. That is quite odd. Try to be a little more careful here. Six is not binding. Five is stuck. No. Now it's fine. Back to 6. 6 is good. 5 is good. 4 is good. 3 is good. 2 is good. 1's overset. That's the problem. Let's see if I can shake it loose. Okay. I did shake it loose. Can I find the gate again though? There's the gate. 6, 5, 4, 3. Something dropped while I was trying to work on 2. I'm not quite sure what it was though. I mean, Lassie might be moving 2 a little. Okay, hold on. Just not too free. Let's apply more tension again. Okay, the issue is 3. Pretty sure. See if there are any other problems. Two's binding, but make sure 3 is in a good place first. That might be good. Let's go back to 2. Okay. Everything's feeling good. Maybe the interactive slipped out. Doesn't feel like it. Well, one possibility is I could have lost 7. So let's try going back to my original tensioner. Whoops. Another possibility is that the lock is picked. Well, I do have some explanation to do here. Certainly the bolt isn't retracted all the way, but this is as far as I'm going to take it. while this is very different from a tubular lock, one thing it shares with that lock type is every 45-degree turn, basically the levers will reset. So I only really turned it 45 degrees clockwise, and it only took it that far. As you probably saw at the beginning, when I turned the key to fully retract the bolt, I had to go a little bit past, not quite 180, but I think I went somewhere into here. So you would have to pick the lock once, twice, 3, 4 times, just like I did once in succession to actually open the lock, retract the bolt all the way. So really great pick resistance just by virtue of that. But anyways, there's a lot of cool stuff going on inside this lock. So let me get in position so we can do a gut. Let's see, let me start with my camera. Just want to change the focus and zoom out a little bit. Okay. All right, and let me get the vise out of the way. Now, let's see. What's the easiest way to do this? I want some more room. And let's see, put this over here. And see if I can get this camera free without causing too many problems here. Okay. Now I'm freehanding. And gonna get in position here. Okay, that's pretty good. Now, let's see. I'll show you that it's actually picked 45 degrees in there, but one thing I'll do is I can insert the key and it won't work because the proper orientation for the bitting of the key is 45 degrees here, clockwise. But the design of this nose doesn't allow me to insert the key in that orientation. It only allows me to insert it straight up and down, and I think 180, but that's not going to work either, obviously. Yeah, it will go in 180. All right. So for starters, I've got a C-clip here, and that's probably going to be the most painful thing to take off. So let me see if I can't do that before I get a full gutting tray here and try not to knock the camera everywhere. There we go. Actually, I'm not sure how to do this. Let me try with the gutting tray. This might be the hardest part. Because it requires so much force, and I'm not quite sure how to do it without really knocking into the table and everything else. Here, let's try from this angle. Let's see what this does. Yeah, there's no way this is going to work. All right, the safest thing I can think to do is to just go back. I should have done this before. I'll go back to my old camera position. This way I can keep the lock in frame. And as I wrestle with the lock, I'm less likely to knock the camera over because the camera's on another disc. That's still not easy though. Let's see. One of the issues. Oh, well. Hope you got a good look at that C-clip because it's on the floor somewhere. We'll have to get it later. But at least that seemed to have worked. All right, let's go back. Put the camera back. And get proper gutting tray here. All right, so with that C-clip off, what we can do is loosen these two screws. And that will allow the lock housing to come off. And I'll pull this off. Oops. And actually, there, you can see it. Here, let me point. This is the top of the lock, and you can see it's pointed 45 degrees clockwise. See how it doesn't have a prong there. So, there we are. This is just the housing of the lock with the bolt. Not really much more to this. I'll just put it on the side. And this piece is where the lock fits in. And so this is pretty cool. See how this works. So again, I'm going to just how the top of the lock is there. I'm going to align that with the interactive part of the key where that ball bearing is in the key. And then you'll see when the prop key is inserted in the proper way, each one of these levers is both rotated and shifted to exactly the right position so that it slides in these grooves on the side. Okay, so there's a few things to take note here. The first is, if you look up close here, you can see that in the clockwise direction, each one of these levers has a notch on it, except the interactive. This is the interactive here. The interactive, it has a pretty strong spring, but it just rotates. Each one of these guys, here I'll use it with the pick, can both rotate and slide. Okay, and on this side, each one has a notch in the clockwise direction. Okay, except I'm back to the interactive, so 7 and then the interactive. But in the other direction, they don't. So if you were to try to pick this lock to lock it back up, it will be much easier because you don't have those notches. And those notches grab onto the serrations in here. And you can see at every position, if you were to turn this, so I guess clockwise from the other direction, it would be in this direction, right? You can see there's serrations at each point there. And on both sides, right? The true gate's back here, and you've got a serration after and a serration before, so very easy to get stuck in either place. And in particular, if you ever get into a situation where one of those levers is in one of those notches, in anti-pick notches, and and the rest are set, then the lock really seizes up. It's sometimes you can float pick out of it if it binds late, but otherwise you have to start over. Another cool feature is this nose creates a bit of a challenge, because if you look how long my pick is, because I'm going all the way back here in order to manipulate the levers. So there's not that much room here for all the tools, and you're trying to do fine motion in two directions, rotation and pushing back here. There's a lot going on. And of course, all the cool stuff is in this piece. So, okay, the top is here. So that little knob is oriented to the top where the interactive is. So I'm going to start by taking these screws out. Got a Torx screwdriver here. So there are two screws. There's one, and there's two. And then there's just this cam piece. Okay. I don't like, sometimes I think Fichet, they just like to put ball bearings just for the hell of it. Sometimes there's just a ball bearing sitting in there. I can't figure out, maybe one of you knows the purpose of that ball bearing, but I sure don't. And then we have two more screws in here. And then we're going to have to be careful from here on. Because I'm going to lift this out carefully. You can see all the springs in there. And then this is just the backing. Okay, so there are all the springs. And, we're looking at the lock from the back. So I've got the interactive, and then I've been counting clockwise. So 1, 2, all the way down to 7. Okay. So let me take those guys out one at a time. I've got, we'll start with the springs. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we'll put the interactive spring maybe over on the side here. The active spring is shorter, but it's strong. And there's actually an extra ball bearing right behind that spring, which we'll get to. But first, let me get some of these other levers out. So again, that's starting at 1. 1 is right here. So let me just orient myself. All right, so I have a technique. Let's see, how does this go? Okay, grab the edge, and then I can get the corner out here. And now, if you use pinning tweezers, and you grab right where this ball bearing is, then you can screw it up just like that. Here, I'll demonstrate with the next one, and we'll get back to 1 at some point. That's the interactive, so let's do number 2. So much harder to gut around the camera. And unfortunately, I don't think I can skip that one. I think I have to go back and fish one out. So, here we go. Alright, that was actually pretty clean, despite how it might have looked. This is level 1. And you can see there, it's got the notch we were looking at before. And this is the part that the pick interfaces with. And the ball bearing that fell out is right here. That sits right in this hole. And so the reason for all that is that this is what allows, there's a ball bearing like column there. And so that's what allows this to move up and down and also pivot around that ball bearing point. Ingenious design. And you can see just how tailored my pick is to exactly that motion, just to kind of its shape to grab this. And so I can both rotate and push. Let me give myself a little more room here. All right, let's try that again. So that was one, and I'm just gonna try to get closer, get around this camera. See if I can't do that a little more smoothly with these others. All right, we'll try my technique again. That's what I meant to do. You see when you can grab that ball bearing right in the hole with the pinning tweezers, then it just comes out without falling all over the place. So it's lever 2. And then keep on going around. Okay, lever 3. Lever 4. By the way, this is also how I put them back in. I won't do that on camera, but when you reassemble this lock, you can use the pinning tweezers to put that ball bearing and hold it in position right up where you get it into that little divot. And so it makes it easier to put the lock back together. All right, this one's a little deep. I have a little trouble pulling it out. Oh, I think I got it. Seem to be stuck. Okay, there we are. Okay, it's number 5. And actually, you can see why I had a hard time getting at it. You see how shallow that is? That suggests that this is a pretty deep set. Okay, next up is 6. Okay, and then 7. This one seems a little stuck too. Let's see what's going on. Oh no, here it is. I see it. Okay, there's 7. And then we have the interactive. Now, there is a ball bearing. One way to get the ball bearing out is if I take one of my wire tensioners. I can kind of lift it right above here. I'm going to pull it out. So now this ball bearing is not like the others. It doesn't sit in one of those holes, but it's literally just right below the spring. So it's a way that the spring interfaces with the lever itself. The lever has its own ball bearing, which is in the usual place there. So I'm going to use my technique here to get it out. Okay, and you can see their interactive lever is different. It's just a rotation. There's no, it seems like there's only that one movement, and there's also no groove there. So it can't get caught in any, in any of the serrations on the side. And that, if you can believe it, is everything that's in this clever little cylinder. There you have it. This is the Fichet MPX. One thing I should probably show you is the sticker. Yeah, it's interesting. They don't label this cylinder. The cylinder is known as the MPX, but you can see that this is the MXB-B Fichet. And so this describes the the housing. And what I'm told by one of our Fichet experts in the community is that -B, that has something to do with the nose. It's used here, the length of the nose. And there you have it. Unless, I guess the only other thing to show you is, again, it did require a custom pick, both for the length, how deep this goes, and for the tip, obviously, to have that fine control. And just here, I have it's hard to see because I have relatively big hands, but here's a standard multi-pick pick, so you can see just how honkin' big this thing is. All right, just do a close-up of the levers. We can wrap this up. And here you can do close-up of serrations.